What's up, y'all? My name is M.Falconer, also known as M.Falconer, and I am a self-taught visual artist from Toronto, and welcome back to my studio. So if you have been watching my channel, you know that I run my own art business full-time, and I love sharing all my tips and tricks here on my YouTube channel. And one of the questions I get asked a lot is how I became a full-time artist. So that is why I'm making this video, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys my whole story on how I became a full-time artist, and hopefully it'll inspire you to see that becoming a full-time artist is definitely possible and doable. So can't wait to share my story. Let's get into it. So I had always been very creative as a kid, just naturally. I remember one of my earliest memories was my mom taking me to the bookstore, and she bought me this drawing book, like how to draw. And I would always draw all the time, buying sketchbooks from the dollar store. And I remember in elementary school, I even won the art award at my school for this art competition that we had. So clearly I was very naturally into art. I was also into music. I played the piano and the guitar. I started my own band when I was a kid for a short while. I was also into skateboarding for a minute, but I would customize my own skateboards and I would paint my own designs, like spray paint them on the back, because I couldn't afford the fancy design skateboards, so I would just make my own. And as I got older, as a teenager, I would do different art projects. Like I remember I made dead mouse helmets for fun because I thought they were super cool, and I made them with my friends, and I eventually ended up selling them to jackassers. I also was really into puppets, and I would make Muppet type looking puppets and I would sell them to different churches in my area. But I was just doing all of this for fun because they were just things that I was interested in doing, and people were actually offering me money, so I was like, sure, why not? But I never saw art as an actual viable career. Like, it literally never crossed my mind as a kid, oh, I should be an artist. Like, it was just never an option for some reason. But I was really good in school. Like, I did get really good grades, and I was really good at math and accounting. So I just felt like I should be an accountant. So I decided to go to university for accounting. So in 2012, I went to Wilfrid Laurier University, which is in Waterloo, Ontario, and I was in the economics program because I wanted to be an accountant. So while I was in university, I decided to join the Black Students Association at my school, and I applied to be the director of marketing for like the exec team. So as the director of marketing, I did like all the posters for our events and all the graphic design stuff, and I also designed all of our team apparel and like apparel that we would sell to the students and stuff like that. So I got really good at kind of like graphic design work, and that was my first time doing apparel work, and I really enjoyed doing it. But when it came to my actual studies in school, I'm gonna be real with you guys, like I literally hated it. Like, literally hated my program. By the end of my first year, I'm like, what am I doing here? I can't stand these economics courses, and I just did not want to be an accountant. I knew that. I'm like, this is not for me. But I knew that I loved art and I loved business. So in 2014, while I was still a student, I decided to experiment more with art, and that's when I kind of discovered Andy Warhol. Like, I had known about Andy Warhol because obviously he's so popular, but I wasn't into the art world, so I didn't really know a lot of popular artists. But Andy Warhol really stood out to me because of his pop art style of artwork. I just loved the colors, I loved the stenciling. I was really drawn to his style and what he was doing with his art. So I decided to pursue pop art style paintings, and I made my first painting ever. It was a portrait of my mom, which was a gift for Mother's Day. I didn't know what to get her, and I just thought, let me paint her. So I painted her this portrait. It was literally so basic. When I show y'all, like, it was just black and yellow. It was like a stencil style, but I gave it to my mom and she really loved it. Like, she went around showing everyone at her church. I was like, okay, she actually liked it. So that year I decided to make portrait paintings as gifts for all my friends. So I was giving out portraits as Christmas gifts, and my friends loved the paintings so much, and they actually started asking me to do custom paintings as gifts for their friends and family. And that was the first time I ever got commissioned to create a portrait. So my first commission ever was from my friend Mary. It was a portrait of her parents, which is going to be a gift for them. And my second commission ever was from my friend Kanisha, and it was a portrait of her and her brother, and it was a gift for her brother. And I was just charging like $50 to $100. Like, I didn't know how much to charge. I was like, how about 50? How about 100? And they were like, cool. And I was like, cool, because I was a poor university student, so I was glad to take any money. Like, so eventually I started doing more and more commissions from just my friends and other students in my university. So in 2015, I finally decided I'm gonna become an artist. I'm gonna make this a business. And keep in mind, I was doing this all while I was still a full-time student in university in the program that I hated. So I created my own website using Squarespace, and I started to paint more original paintings and portraits that featured like prominent figures within Black culture, because that was what I was really into and still am really into. I would also do live painting events at my school. So a lot of school groups and clubs will host like coffee houses, talent shows, culture shows and events, and they would hire me to do live paintings at these events. So I would paint a portrait from scratch during the duration of the event, and then I would raffle off the painting at the end and someone would win it. And they were paying me like from $100 to $500 per event. Sometimes I would also set up a booth with a table, and I would set up my paintings, and I would sell my paintings and my prints to the students at the events. And I was getting my prints printed at the in-school print shop. But people were buying my prints for like $5, $10, and I even sold a few paintings for a couple $100s at these student events. So this is all happening while I still have my courses, and even though I hated my economics courses, I really loved the business courses, and I would register for every business course that I could. And then I would take all that knowledge and apply it to my business that I was actually working on. Then it got to a point where I felt like I needed more money to get the equipment that I really needed to grow. So I got into a government program called Summer Company, and this is in Waterloo, and it was basically like a summer crash course about business for students, and at the end they gave you $3,000. So I'm like, free money. I did the program and I got that $3,000 grant, and with the $3,000 I bought my first real easel, which I still have to this day, and I bought a DSLR camera that I could use to start making YouTube videos. The next year, so this is 2016 now, I got into this new entrepreneurship program that my school started, and it's called Launchpad. And it was basically an incubator where students could get credits for starting their business. So I'm like, this is perfect for me. So I went in that program, and I actually met a new friend, and her name is Jess, and we started a new art business together called Jess and Mel. So Jess was a photographer, and we would create these collaborative pieces where Jess would take these really amazing cityscape type photos, and we would print them out onto canvas prints, and then I would hand paint on top of the photos to create this cool half photo, half painting original collab pieces. So we learned a lot about how to validate a business idea in that program, and me and Jess, we were killing that program. Like, we were like the star students. Our business was actually doing pretty well. Like, we were selling prints and stuff, and our school actually hired us to do an installation at Nuit Blanche. So Nuit Blanche is like an art festival in downtown Toronto and Montreal, I think. I think it started in Montreal, but yeah, they hired us to go to their Toronto campus, and we did a live painting during Nuit Blanche, and the school paid us to do it. And we're like, damn, the school's hiring us. They also sent us to a conference paid for, where we met Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V, he's like a super great entrepreneur. And one time the Prime Minister even came to visit the center, and we got to meet Justin Trudeau, and like we gave him one of our prints, and it was a really great experience. And my university experience was a huge lesson for me that I want to share with you guys on how to turn an obstacle into an opportunity. Like, I literally wanted to drop out. I wanted to do something else. Like, I wasn't sure, but I was already deep in student loan debt. And instead of just kind of suffering through, I thought to myself, okay, yes, I'm in this bad situation, but how can I turn it around? Like, what opportunities are there around me that I can still leverage while I'm here suffering? And I found ways to still start something while I was in a situation that I didn't really want to be in. And I've carried that lesson throughout life, and I think it's important to share with you guys. Like, sometimes things might not always work out how you planned it, but how can you shift it and change it into something that will actually work for you? So for the next few years, still in school, I worked on my business and I worked on Jess and Mel, and I was doing a lot of commissions and a lot of live events to make money. And during this time, I actually took fewer classes during the semesters so that I would have time to work on my business. Like, I would defer classes into the summer and take summer classes, and I eventually ended up graduating a year later because of how I spread out my courses. But it was worth it to me because I could actually put more time onto my business, which is what I really cared about. So in the summer of 2017, I was still in Waterloo. I applied for another government program called Starter Company, which is similar to Summer Company, and it was kind of the same premise, but I got a $5,000 grant, and I invested that money to get equipment for my booths. Like, I got this whole grid wall to set up my art when I would do events. And I also bought a bunch of inventory for my prints, which I was selling. So in fall of 2017, I finally graduated. Like, I literally could not wait to get out of there. Like, I was so glad. I was free. I never had to do school again unless I really wanted to for some reason, but now I could fully invest all my time into my business. Unfortunately, we did have to end Jess and Mel because I was moving back home, which is like over an hour away, and it couldn't work for us to still run the business, but me and Jess are still lifelong friends, and Jess is still working on her photography business, and it's great. So I moved back in at home with my mom, and I distinctly remember applying for jobs and literally doing interviews, but then I would turn them down. Like, I would literally be like, nah, this isn't for me, because I knew deep down in my heart that the only thing I wanted to do was be an artist. Like, I did have that pressure of wanting to make a salary, you know, especially after graduating, after school, but I couldn't do it. And I figured it's better for me to go all in now when I'm young. I don't have any bills, I don't have any responsibilities, I don't have any kids, and go all in and see if I can make this work. And if it doesn't work, I could always still go get a job later. Like, the option to get a job will always be there, but I felt like this was the prime time for me to take my art business where I wanted it to go. So that's what I did. I went full-time into my art business at 23 years old. So to this day, I have never worked at a 9-to-5 job. I've never had a paid career or been a full-time employee. and I'm as happy as I could ever be. So now that I was finally free, I went and I took on literally every single commission that I could possibly take on. Like, I wanted that commission money. And eventually I outgrew my mom's living room and I moved into my own rented studio, and I was paying about $400 a month for an art space to work out of. In November 2018, I launched my first apparel drop. I've been wanting to do apparel for the longest time, and it was super successful, and I sold out in just a couple days. It was great. Then came one of the biggest highlights of my career. The end of 2018, I got invited to exhibit at one of the biggest art galleries in Canada, which is the Art Gallery of Ontario. They paid me to come exhibit my work there, and it was just surreal. I invited all my friends and family, and it kind of felt like I made it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm recognized as an artist by like a legit gallery. Like, it was a pretty great experience and a great memory. So shortly after that, I painted one of my most well-known pieces, which is my portrait of Michelle Obama, and that kind of blew up my page. It went a little bit viral. A lot of people know me from that portrait, and I started to get a lot of recognition online. My Instagram page started growing, and that's kind of when I started to get commissioned by a lot of big brands. So the first big company to hire me was CBC Radio, which is like a huge media company in Canada. Afterwards, I got hired by Flair Magazine, the Huffington Post, PBS, and a bunch of other companies. In 2019, I decided to get more funding for my business from another organization called BITS, and they're great. And I completed a short business type program with them, and they gave me $5,000 to invest in my business. And this is another huge lesson that I want to share with you guys. Like, make use of the resources that are around you. Like, literally, I've gotten over $13,000 in free money just by looking at who was offering programming grants, small business help, or whatever. Like, so many of these organizations are just around waiting for people to come take their money. Plus, the actual business offerings that they were providing were just as good as the business courses that I was taking in university. So a lot of people think that you have to go get a BBA or learn business from university. No, like, a lot of these organizations are teaching the exact same fundamental business skills that are just fine. Like, honestly, if I could go back in life, I probably would not even go to university. Like, I would just take advantage of all these opportunities that are available for free, y'all. So use your resources. So in fall 2019 was another huge moment in my career. I got commissioned by Biggie's estate to create 2 original paintings to celebrate Biggie. It was definitely one of the biggest commissions I've ever got. And they invited me and all the other artists that they commissioned to Brooklyn, New York for this art show where they displayed all of our work. And the guest list for this show was actual real celebrities. Like, and the artists, we were also on the VIP list with the celebrities. We got to walk the red carpet. I literally met Rick Ross. I danced with Lil Kim, y'all, at this event. Like, Diddy's kids were there, Biggie's kids were there. We had to go through security in a private elevator to get through this event. Like, it really felt like I made it. Like, it was a crazy, crazy experience, and I'm like, wow, like, I'm really out here with big name artists, and it just goes to show the recognition you can get after you put in a few years of some hard work. So that was a huge moment in my career that I will literally never forget. So I eventually moved out of my studio rental because my dad actually offered to let me use his house as a studio for free. So I wouldn't turn that down. So that's where I'm at now. And I continue to do work of a lot of influential people in Black culture. I even did a painting for actress Yvonne Orji, who is an actress on the show Insecure by Issa Rae. And that kind of came full circle for me because I was obsessed with Awkward Black Girl as a kid, which was a show Issa Rae did on YouTube. And it's just like, now I'm doing artwork for the actresses on the show. It's just crazy. And last year was my most successful year as an artist. I could finally afford my own large format printer that I had been wanting to buy since day one. And now I can finally make my own prints. To date, I have done over 160 paid commissions, and I was making up to $5,000 on some of those commissions. And I was actually making enough money for a real salary for the first time ever. I even hired a studio assistant and a video editor part-time to come help me with my business. And I got featured in the Toronto Star, which was so crazy, but I am super grateful for everything that has happened in my journey thus far. But it got to a point where I was really overwhelmed with doing commission paintings. Like, I started to not enjoy doing them because they were taking away from me being able to create my own original artwork. So last year I decided to completely stop taking commissions until further notice, even though they were making me the most money. And now I'm focusing on creating original work that more reflects me as a person and as an artist. So now I'm kind of at a place in my career where I don't want to just be known for celebrity portraits, even though that's kind of what got me up to this point, because I have grown a lot as a person since I started painting back in 2014. When I was younger, I was still figuring out who I was as a person, and I didn't really have much to say to the world as an artist. But now I've grown up a lot, and I don't care so much about superficial things that I used to care about. And I feel like I have a deeper message that I want to share with the world. I want to create more positive and inspirational paintings, and I want to empower other people to believe in themselves and pursue their dreams just like I have, because I know it's possible, and I know that happiness is the most important thing in this life. And let me be real with y'all, I'm not making this video to show you how successful I am. I'm still very much in the journey and on the grind. Like, I'm gonna be real, I'm not rich. I still live with my parents in my dad's house. I drive a very old Pontiac Sunfire, and I still have $50,000 in student loan debt. But I am extremely happy because I'm doing what I love every single day when I wake up in the morning. And that's what matters to me the most. And yes, of course, I'm still striving to achieve, great successes like financial freedom and all that great stuff. But I'm doing it while creating artwork that I love, and I hope y'all are willing to follow along on this journey with me. In the next few months, my goal is to finally move out of my parents' house. I wanna get my own place and just have that freedom of having my own space. I wanna create a brand new art collection that's just happy and inspiring. And I wanna document and share it with all of you guys so I can tell you everything that I'm learning along the way, because I believe that we can all win. So that is my story, but it is definitely not over. Like, it's not even close. Honestly, I feel like I've barely even started, and I'm just excited for what life has in store for me next. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be able to share my art and my life and my journey and my experiences with all of you. So I guess that's it for this video. I hope it wasn't too long. I hope you enjoyed it, and I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you were at least a little bit inspired, and if you're not subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my new art adventures. And I can't wait to see y'all in the next video. So peace.